Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the last day of USITT 2019. My name is Lowell Alcott, and I am the Product Manager of Integrated Technologies for ETC. And today, and throughout the show, we've been showing off a new piece of software, which is our Augmented 3D programming engine. So we're going to take a step through this today and show you some of the features. We do have some consoles and some other things over here for you to take a look at afterwards if you want to get your hands on it and really experience it. So about 2 years ago, our founder, Fred Foster, put a group of us together and explained an idea and a vision that he had. And today, we are super excited to actually finally get the chance to share that with you. So Augmented is a 3D programming engine that will live initially on the EOS family of consoles from Element all the way up to TI. And eventually, we're going to take a look at ways we can integrate that with all of our different product lines and really mature the concept of Augmented and get us into lots of fun situations. So as we're working with the 3D programming environment, the first thing we need to work with is the 3D model. Now, the last thing we wanted to do was make you have to learn another 3D modeling software. There are a lot of great softwares out there. They do wonderful jobs. So instead, what we wanted to focus on was giving you lots of tools to be able to import into Augmented anything that you might already have. So there's a rather ridiculous amount of file types that we support here. If we don't natively support something that you're working with, I'm sure we can find something you can export and we can import. Lots of different options there. If you're not playing inside of the 3D world, we've got plenty of options for that as well. Inside of Augmented, all I really need is the floor. Walls are nice, anything else is a bonus. But the more you do add into your model, the more points you have to interact with, the more things you can click on and focus your lights on, the more power you're going to actually have. And to help with that, we've given a ton of different stock objects, different pieces of furniture, architectural pieces, and basic shapes. So even if you don't have anything you can import, you've got objects you can work with. Now, while we didn't want to work a lot with different modeling options, we did want to work with all the different ways that we can put our lights into the space. So I'm going to jump over into EOS for a second and go into Patch. And inside of EOS now, every channel has a field for position and orientation. And this is where we're actually going to set the specific locations for our fixtures and tell the model where they are and how they're working. And all I have to do is add in one of these values, and when I switch back to Augmented, that particular device is now added in. Now, if I want to add in some scenery objects as well, it's similar concepts. All I have to do is just drag it in, and I've got those pieces in there. And as I'm working with this, I've got standard tools for position and scale and rotation. I can just add all the pieces in I need. Now, same is true for fixtures. I can grab one of these, I can move them around, and Augmented and EOS are seamlessly integrated, so any change you make inside of Augmented will automatically show up in EOS and vice versa. So if you want to go in and type specific values in Patch, perfectly fine, it'll all come over here. If you want to drag your fixtures around and position them inside of Augmented, that's an option too. But we understand that rigs are getting bigger and bigger and more fixtures are being added, so doing this can be a little tedious if you have a huge amount of fixtures. So we're also working on some tools to integrate with other softwares you might be using right now to get that information that you've already placed fixtures, all of your X, Y, and Z information. And for automated fixtures, we're working on a mechanism that allows you to pick 4 arbitrary points, focus all of your lights on those 4 points, tell the model where those 4 points are, and we'll automatically calculate and put all of your fixtures up for you. So really speedy, efficient way. So you can walk into a venue, put down a floor, quickly focus your lights on 4 points, and we'll put them all up in the rig exactly where they're going to be for you. Now, once we have fixtures inside here, we should talk about how we're going to navigate around the space and what we're going to work with. And to be really honest, we stole this directly from the video game industry. So it's WASD for movement, and right-click to look up and around and see where everything is. Now, any of the positions that you're working with and any of the settings that we're going to talk about can be saved directly into EOS snapshots. And what that allows you to do is quickly recall all of those camera positions and angles or build them directly into queues. So if you want to start your show in Q1 and see directly from center house, you've got that option to put that in a queue. If later on you want to add in the ability to look from the fly rail for that really complicated light thing on the side of the stage, you've got different options for that. Now, to turn lights on, we're going to go into EOS, and I'm going to grab my fixtures just like I always have and turn them on. The second I give them some intensity, they're going to show up inside of Augmented, and then it's our standard tools for panning, tilting, and moving all of my fixtures around, positioning them anywhere I need them to be. Now, where Augmented differs a little from a traditional visualizer is in a visualizer, we're trying to spend all of our time making perfect photorealistic representations of our space. But in Augmented, I can go into focus and say, I want all of my lights here, and focus them right on that point. So now you can start to see why adding more and more pieces to your set is really to your advantage. Because as I'm working here and I'm interacting, I'm going to have all of those different placements and positions that I have. And as I'm working here, we are taking into account any of the height or intersections and collision detection of all the pieces that you have in there. So if I click on top of the table here that I've added in, notice that my lights are not focused on the floor, they're focused at a Z position that's a bit higher, because we have this sort of phantom table in there. Now as I'm working with this, if I put these on my feet, that's fantastic, but we're never actually focusing or rarely focusing on somebody's feet. We want to focus on their chest or their face. So what I can do is actually set a focus height, and this allows me to set a specific position to get it right on my target point. Now, I was just doing that live with a scroll wheel. You can set a specific position. So if you always know you want to focus at 4'6", you've got that opportunity. And what's really powerful about this is it is also going to take into account any rakes or set pieces or positions, so you can always hit exactly where you want to be. We've added a number of other tools to help with this. The first one we're going to talk about is called stick beams. And what that does is draws a line from the gate of the fixture to wherever the beam is intersecting in the model. So it helps you see exactly where your beams are in midair. But what's really fun about this is it doesn't require intensity. So when I turn these fixtures off, I can still focus and position them and turn them back on and have them live wherever I need in my scenery. The next we're going to talk about is a concept called fixture anchors. And what this does is puts little anchor points on the bottom of the beam of every fixture. So while pan and tilt is fantastic, sometimes we just want to nudge something a little bit diagonally, or we want to move it a little bit. Now these do also follow selection rules. So notice I still have all of my fixtures selected. I can move them all and nudge them all around as a group. Or if I deselect my fixtures, I can just grab one of them and move it in whatever location I want. So I can move these around wherever I need. The next thing we're going to take a look at is called fixture tags. And what this does is puts a tag on the fixture not only where they are in the rig, but also where the beam is on the floor or wherever the beam is projected, helping us try and solve the age-old question of what light is that? So we can start figuring out where all the lights are, getting a really great concept and sense. And remember, you can navigate around here, so if I want to come over here and see exactly what that fixture is, we've got all those options. So what I'm going to show you next is probably my favorite thing inside of Augmented. And what that allows me to do is put the Augmented into what we call a fixture point of view mode. And what that does is when I select a fixture, it gives me the ability to see exactly from the fixture's perspective, so it puts the camera in the gate of the fixture, so as I pan and tilt my light around, the camera follows it, allowing you to finally focus that light behind the couch without doing one of these. So it's great interactions there. All right, turn that off and just snap back to the center here. Now all of this is recorded just like anything else inside of EOS. Nothing has changed on that front, so I'm going to record this into a queue. And when I go into blind and take a look at my queues, inside of this I've always had all of my information displayed there, and it's great, it's easy to see and work with, but it's kind of hard to visualize exactly what that queue looks like just by looking at those numbers. So Augmented is actually following the live and blind states of the console. So when I go into blind, Augmented is now in blind. And now I can next and last through all of my queues and get a concept of blind preview. So nothing's changing in my venue, but I can still actually look at this and see what we're interacting with. Jump back into live here, and I'm just going to turn everything off. So let's take a look inside of Augmented. Now down at the bottom here, I have this red square. And what that is an augmented reality target point. And I actually have one that corresponds with it right here. And I'm going to come in, and I am going to set the image to match here. And then we can have some conversations about what we're doing inside of the augmented reality world with our mobile apps. So we're going to switch over the screen here. So this is our standard ARFR, IRFR app. It's some new features we've added in here. So I'm going to connect into my console, go in ML controls, and I now have a new tab at the bottom called Wand. And this is our focus wand. And what I'm going to do is come over here and scan it to this point. And what this is the bridge between the physical and the virtual world. Because now what I can do is look up, see my fixtures, select them, turn them on with a gesture, and say, I would like that fixture focused over here, or down in front. And I can move this around using push and hold. I can select all of my fixtures, turn them on with a gesture, put them together in a place or a location. And there are two sides to this. What we're using right now is our focus wand. The other one we have is called Find Me. And what that does is very aptly finds me. So I can come into a space, I can put down my floor, I can focus my fixtures and generate where their positions are in the real world. And then I can walk around my space and say, all right, lights on me, record focus palette 1. Lights on me, focus palette 2. Focus palette 3. And quickly rough in my focus palettes. And then if I want to go back to my console and use our more traditional methods of really getting those exact locations, I can. But this gives me a great way to just start where I'm working. Now, this is all part of our EOS 3.0 update, which means it is a free update that will be available to all of you. On the consoles, we've got two different options. If you have a newer console, so something with a display port on the back, it'll be able to natively live on the console. If you don't have a DisplayPort on the back, or you want to use another option, we'll also have a Mac and PC version available that you can network in to any of our consoles that can run Windows 7 and can go to version 3.0. We're looking at doing a public beta of this in about June and releasing this to everybody in early fall. But we really just wanted to bring it here, get your feedback, get your interactions with it. So please come over and play with the three consoles over here. The TI is running it natively on the hardware. The GeoAd 5 and the Element 2 are running it connected through another laptop. And we'll have a number of phones down at the bottom if you want to come and play around with the Focus Wand. But other than that, thank you very much for coming, and I hope you have a great show.